A small comment can feel much larger when it lands on an old insecurity. Someone says, "You look tired," and the mind hears, "You look bad." A colleague asks a question, and the mind hears, "They think I am incompetent." Taking things personally often begins when the present moment touches a tender place from the past. An old insecurity can make a harmless sentence feel personal before the person has checked what was actually meant. A small but important point is that a delayed reply is not always rejection. To take something personally means to treat another person's behavior as a direct statement about your worth, identity, or acceptability. Sometimes the behavior really is disrespectful, but often the reaction becomes intense because the mind adds meaning that was not clearly spoken. A person can notice this when canceled dinner explains why two similar situations can lead to different outcomes. The trade-off is clearer when feedback can touch identity before logic arrives. The brain is built to scan for social threat. Belonging used to be tied to safety, resources, and survival. Even now, criticism, exclusion, or embarrassment can feel physically sharp. A delayed reply or flat tone may not be dangerous, but the nervous system can still read it as rejection. A short message is easy to misread when the mind is already looking for rejection. Personalization is a thinking pattern where neutral or mixed events become about you. A friend cancels dinner and you assume you are not important. A manager looks distracted and you assume your work is disappointing. The mind tries to explain uncertainty, and the explanation often points inward. The useful comparison is feedback node shows why the small print, body signal, deadline, or incentive cannot be skipped. Self-esteem changes the interpretation. When someone already feels secure, a blunt comment may be annoying but manageable. When someone feels inadequate, the same comment can feel like evidence. The event did not change, the emotional background did. A short message can feel colder than intended, especially when the reader is already worried about being dismissed. Imagine a student who receives one correction on an essay. The teacher may be trying to improve the writing, but the student hears, "I am not smart." That shift turns feedback into identity threat. Once identity is threatened, learning becomes harder because the person is busy protecting themselves. A simple case as delayed call explains why two similar situations can lead to different outcomes. Family history can make the pattern stronger. If affection depended on performance, or mistakes led to ridicule, the person may grow up expecting judgment everywhere. Later, even mild disagreement can feel like the beginning of abandonment or humiliation. A canceled dinner may hurt less when the person can separate disappointment from proof that they are unwanted. Workplaces create many chances for this. A short email, a meeting invite without context, or a coworker choosing someone else for a project can trigger a full story. Maybe they are angry, maybe I failed, maybe I am being replaced. The story may appear before any real evidence exists. The decision changes when old insecurity shows why the small print, body signal, deadline, or incentive cannot be skipped. Taking things personally can also come from responsibility overload. Some people learn to manage everyone's mood at home. If a parent was upset, they wondered what they did wrong. As adults, they may still feel responsible for tones, silences, and reactions that belong to other people. The cost is not only emotional pain. Personalization can lead to defensiveness, people-pleasing, withdrawal, or over-apologizing. The person tries to repair a problem that may not exist, or protects themselves against an attack that was never intended. A useful skill is separating impact from intention. If a comment hurt, the hurt is real. But the intention still needs checking. Someone can say something clumsy without trying to insult you. Someone can be distracted without rejecting you. Both truths can exist at once. Another skill is asking what else could be true. The friend who replied late may be overwhelmed. The manager may be thinking about a deadline. The partner may be quiet because they are tired. Alternate explanations do not prove your first story wrong. but they loosen its grip. Tone is especially tricky. Text messages remove facial expression, timing, and warmth. A period at the end of a sentence can feel cold. A short reply can feel angry. Before reacting, it helps to remember that written communication often carries less emotional information than the mind assumes. Boundaries matter too. Not taking everything personally does not mean accepting disrespect. If someone repeatedly mocks, dismisses, or humiliates you, the issue is not sensitivity. The skill is knowing the difference between an old wound being touched and a real pattern of poor treatment. The body can give clues. A reaction that feels sudden, huge, and familiar may be about more than the present event. The intensity may be saying, "This reminds me of something." That does not make the feeling fake. It means the feeling has history attached to it. A practical pause is to ask, what exactly happened? What meaning did I add? And what proof do I have? The first part is observable. The second part is interpretation. The third part keeps the mind from turning a guess into a verdict. In close relationships, naming the reaction gently works better than accusation. Instead of saying, "You do not care about me," a person might say, when the reply was short, "I noticed I started feeling unimportant. Can you clarify what you meant?" That question invites connection instead of a fight. Humor can soften the pattern when used kindly. Some people learn to say, "My brain is writing a dramatic novel again." That small distance can interrupt the spiral. The aim is not to shame yourself for reacting. It is to remember that the first story is not always the full story. Confidence grows when you stop making every external event a referendum on your value. Someone can dislike your idea without dismissing your worth. Someone can be busy without abandoning you. Someone can disagree without proving you are unsafe. The deeper repair is building an identity that can survive mixed feedback. If your sense of self depends on every tone, reply, compliment, or criticism, life becomes exhausting. A steadier identity lets information come in without turning every moment into a personal trial. This pattern can also appear online. A stranger disagrees with a post, and the mind reacts as if personal dignity has been attacked. Online spaces remove context, tone, and relationship history, so the brain fills empty space with threat. Pausing before replying prevents a small comment from becoming a full identity battle. The most useful repair is not becoming emotionally numb. It is learning to check meaning before reacting. If something hurts, the hurt deserves attention. But the next step should come from evidence, context, and self-respect, not from the first painful interpretation. Taking things personally is often the mind trying to protect belonging. The protection becomes painful when it turns guesses into certainty. The healthier path is to pause, check the story, ask when needed, and remember that not every reaction around you is a judgment of you.